That's why they call me bad company. I can't deny. Bad company.
All right, welcome to the W2W review. I am the Knight, and joining me from his LA studio, as always, is the Raider Pirate. What's going on, Pirate?
What's going on, Raider Nation?
All right, Raider Nation, today is Monday. We just came off a very disappointing loss to the Kansas City Chiefs, where we had the opportunity to really put our stamp on the AFC West, at least be in control with halfway through the second quarter, but we came up short, and there was a lot of things that's really stuck out to us on this football team that could be a lot better. There's just a lot of things going on, and we're going to get into that today. But just before we get started, we want you to know that we're going to take a different approach to our format this week. We've been listening to what you guys have to say. You guys really like the interaction, the live phone calls, the different views from other social media Raider personalities. So we're going to do that as we go out throughout the week, have different guests on, and also, do maybe a live show, a live call-in show on Fridays. So stay tuned for everything that's going to be W2W this week. All right, let's go ahead and kick things off the same way we do on every Monday. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the offensive and defensive numbers. Pirate?
Yeah, once again, just a bad football game all around. We lose 26-10. We're only able to generate 10 points. You look at Kansas City, total yards, 406 yards. They did whatever they wanted. They looked like our offense. We looked like, for a half, we looked pretty good. And then for another half, we looked like we just couldn't get anything right. We only had 286 yards of total offense, less than 300 yards of total offense. Again, it was raining. It was muddy. Kansas City comes out 406 yards of offense. 300, the equivalent of 300 yards passing, 100 yards rushing, although they ran the ball a lot more. Look at the time of possession, 36 minutes and 45 seconds to our 23 minutes. That should have been us. We should have ran the ball. We should have worked the clock in the rain at home and forced these guys to try to come back. We didn't. We played right into their hands. We had the two costly turnovers, and again a missed kick from over 50 yards in a monsoon. They had 22 first downs to our 16. So again, they dominated us in every phase of the game: total yards, time of possession, turnovers, and first downs, which is what you need to win in this league. In my opinion, we just came in with a horrible game plan, and we came out with a loss.
Absolutely. And the biggest thing that sticks out to me in this whole thing is, we could look at it defensively and we already know we are defensively, guys. We've been seeing it. We've laid off it for the last 3 weeks because we were winning and they were doing just enough. But this offense yesterday really hit its low point, its true low point of the season. And, we could pick on Carr. Carr played horrible. Carr, in the big picture of things, had an off day. We get that. The bottom line for me, though, is like Pirate just got done mentioning, it was monsoon type weather. The field was really wet. The ball was really wet. The ground was really hard. In these particular game type situations, you run the football, and we didn't do that. Now we hear all the words. I mean, all the stuff that's being talked about out there. Man, Latavius Murray would have been great in this position. And that possibly could be true. But if you look at our numbers, we did not run the ball enough. I mean, I was really excited to really finally see what these two young dynamic backs can do. And although, yes, they're smaller in stature than Latavius Murray, they do run with power and they do run with burst. But they just don't get enough reps. Even Latavius Murray at this point don't get a lot of reps. So we really don't know how good our running backs can be. And in this type of game where the weather is bad and rainy, this is how you play in these games. That's exactly what the Kansas City Chiefs did. You knew they were going to do it, and they just did it better. We tried to take the cute approach and catch them slipping by watching the run, and we're going to throw the ball all over the field. It might have worked on the first drive after Jalen Richard set us up with a great kick return, but then that was it. After that, you saw Carr not being able to put enough zip on the football. He was off target many times, too high, too low. It's weather based, in my opinion. It's not all weather based. There's a ton of other things that went on yesterday, from play calling to all around play of this offense. But these were the situations where you run the football and take over this game, and we just didn't do it because we didn't put any effort into it. I said it yesterday. You did not bring Kelechi Osemele in here to be a pass protector. We brought him in here to be a beast in the run game, and we're just not doing it.
Yeah, again, we're not trying to beat a dead horse here. There's some
No.
obvious advantages. I think that we can, this is still a team that if they make some adjustments, like we've talked about in the past, can turn this thing around. But the defense is historically ridiculous. I have no faith in it, no confidence in it. We may as well go for it on fourth down. I mean, if that's what you're going to do, and maybe that's what Jack was thinking, going for it on fourth down when you're still in this football game. He just saw something and knew, much like when he went for it for 2 against the New Orleans Saints. So, I just have no confidence. We cannot contain the edge. I've talked about it over and over again. If we make some adjustments, if we make some changes, I think that they can, we're still in this. I mean, we're obviously still in this. So we're 4-2, but I've been listening to a lot of people, better 4-2 than 2-4. That's only 2 games. So let's not say better 4-2 than 2-4 when we're 4-4. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden we're 5-5, and then we're 6-6, and 7-7, and 8-8. This is not a playoff style defense as it stands right now. I think we have the pieces
Sure.
To put some things together. But in terms of the defense, like I said, I very rarely seen a team that cannot seem to stop the run. They can't seem to stop the pass. The bottom line is that everybody gets sucked into the middle because we can't stop the run up the middle. I was watching Kansas City just lean on our guys, dominate our guys, push our guys into the ground. That sucks everybody into the middle. Once everybody gets sucked into the middle, including Carl Joseph, who's playing strong safety right now, that opens up the outsides, and we cannot contain the edge. Khalil Mack is only one guy. You saw yesterday when he gets single covered like he did against Fisher, he just dominated Fisher. I mean, dominated him. But teams are not going to do that. They're going to double and triple him. And we're just having such a hard time defending the middle of the field because everybody's getting sucked in. Then teams are running to the outside. Then we're trying to cover the edges. Then we're leaving big gaping holes in the middle of the field. So it's kind of like one of those chicken and the egg thing. How do you fix it? How do you fix the middle so the outside has some integrity? And again, like I said, I think this is a philosophical thing. I think we're caught between what Ken Norton wants to do in Seattle and what Jack Del Rio has done in the past. And it really is time for Jack Del Rio to say, you know what? The experiment is over. I'm taking over. I'm taking the reins. We're going back to some basic defense. Give me the headset. You coach the linebackers, but from this point forward, if we fail or we succeed, it's on me. It's on Captain Jack. Jace?
I agree 100%, and I'm going to say it like this. I've said it before, okay? We're not sitting here throwing darts and daggers at Ken Norton Jr. because he's a horrible coach. We're doing it because he just doesn't have what it takes with the scheme that he's running anyway to be a defensive coordinator. If you guys look back into his whole coaching career, he jumped on board with Pete Carroll in USC as a linebackers coach, okay? Did a great job. Followed him to Seattle. Great linebacker coach. This guy can coach linebackers. This guy is an ex-linebacker himself, a great one at that. There's no reason why he can't coach up our linebackers. So you ask the question, well, how come our linebacking core is so horrible? Well, because his job is not just to coach the linebackers right now. He's coaching the whole defense. He's in charge of this whole thing. And there's a reason why Pete Carroll let him walk. And it's not because Pete Carroll knew that Ken Norton couldn't do it. He probably knew that he hadn't been trained in that area yet. You had Todd Bowles, you had Todd Bowles and Brady Quinn, I think his name is, Quinn anyway, from Atlanta. These guys moved on, and he let Ken Norton move on as well. And I think that it was a courageous move by Jack Del Rio. Let's bring in a guy that's been coaching and working with a guy that's created one of the best defenses in the league over the last 4 or 5 years. All right, okay, like you said, experiment over, right? He's not ready for it. He's not ready to be Pete Carroll. He is not Pete Carroll. Now you find yourself in a situation where you're trying to take a little bit of Pete Carroll and a little bit of Jack Del Rio, and it's not working. Jack Del Rio is a proven defensive coordinator. Jack Del Rio is a guy that knows how to get it done and has gotten it done in the past. It's time to implement Jack. And then Jack tried to teach him his system. If Ken Norton's not okay with that, then this is where you have to ask yourself, should Ken Norton be let go? So, I mean, there's a lot of things going on, but if anything sticks out to me, it is just the fact that it just, like I said, it just means he's not a good defensive coordinator at this point. He can coach these linebackers. We'll see what they do moving forward, but this should be Jack Del Rio's defense at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, defensively, the scheme should be very simple. I mean, and I think it is very simple at this point, but it should be very, very, very simple, regardless of what you see going on in front of you. You know, make sure that you do your job. Don't get beat. Don't try to do somebody else's job. Just do your job. Keep everything in front of you. You know, we, at this point, like I said, it's sickening to watch this defense. I just cannot watch it. I have no faith in it. There are good players on this team. There are very good players on this team. But they're just being misutilized, from Khalil Mack all the way to Reggie Nelson. There are some guys that should be sitting. There are some guys that probably should be starting in place of some of these big name tickets. But then again, it goes back to, hey, we paid these guys a lot of money. You know, it's going to take a while for them to gel. Everybody kept saying, oh, it's going to take, 4 or 5 weeks. Folks, it's getting worse. It's not gelling. You know what I mean? It's not, they still look as confused as ever, calling timeouts in the first quarter because, like I was talking about earlier, guys putting their hands, hey, who's got that guy? Why is that guy over there? There's nobody covering that guy,
Right.
These are the types of things where you just scratch your head. And like we've talked about before, Jace, these guys have had so many weeks. They said it in the press conference. You guys have had so many weeks to put this stuff together. How is it possible that at this point, 6 weeks into the season, it still looks like this? So that's all I've got. Let's we better head out to break.
Yeah. Okay. So this is where we're gonna go out to break right now, guys. And when we get back, we're going to be bringing on a guest shortly that is going to help shed the light from a different perspective. Maybe it's the same thing, but it's not us repeating ourselves over and over again. We'll get into that right after the break. Stay tuned. All right, welcome back to the W2W Review. I am the Knight, joined by the Raider Pirate. Let's go ahead and really start to break this thing down, guys. A lot of things happened yesterday that we did not like. There's a lot of things happening on defense that we haven't liked all season, even though we saw small increments of improvement once we changed some of the personnel 3 weeks ago. It wasn't enough, and yesterday it exposed itself again. So, is it a personnel problem? Is it a scheme problem? Is it a little bit of both? What is it? And then at this point, we're out of breath. We've been talking about it for a long time. So we're going to bring in somebody to give a new, fresh perspective on it. And Pirate, what do we got?
Yeah, like we said, what we're going to try to do is, change the format a little bit. Like we said, we have our opinions, and we want to bring in some other people, much like we do on our Friday show. So today, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we have the godfather of Raider podcasting. We're very excited to bring in somebody that I've listened to for years and years and years, and I think has, like nobody else, has his finger on the pulse of what's going on here. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to welcome to the show Raider Greg. Raider Greg, welcome.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate you putting me on the show. It's always good to talk Raiders.
All right, fantastic. Tell us, Greg. Now I know you were in Kauai, and you just got back, but we talked a little bit earlier, so I know that you saw the game. What did you see in this game yesterday that either surprised you or made you scratch your head and say, "What the heck's going on here?"
Well, there's two things. One thing is the offense. Our defense has really blown from the get-go, and we really don't have any confidence in it. My biggest thing was, why didn't we run the ball more? We were successful. We could have been a little spicier on the run game, more screens, and if you please, our offensive coordinator is so inept. We have so many tools, and his toolbox is full of tools, and he keeps bringing out a screwdriver. I don't understand his mentality when it comes to, we're 3rd and 4, and he throws a 2-yard pass, hoping that the receiver can get the first down. That's one thing. The other thing that they've done is they've eliminated the Carr run. Carr used to run. If you notice, he'll throw the ball even though he has an open window to get an easy first down. And I think that's because of what happens in the Saints game where he got flipped over. They're afraid he's going to get hurt. Look, he's a football player. We have to win on offense. That's our team. That's our professional. The best part of our profession here on the Raiders. We have a strong offense. We have to make that the best. We can work on the defense, which is inept, but we have to win games on the offense. And in this game, on a rainy field with wet surface, you must pound the rock, and we just went away from that.
Yes. Raider Greg, this is Jason, also known as the Knight. What's up, brother?
Hi. How you doing, brother?
Man, it's been a while. It's good to talk to you, and thanks for joining the show. You brought up a lot of good points. I said it yesterday on our live show that Jason Tarver was a guy that overthought things, and Bill Musgrave, I guess Greg Papa was saying how this guy's football IQ is off the charts. Do you think that Bill Musgrave is maybe too smart right now, as he's trying to overthink his play calls and trying to catch the defense off guard too much, or is he just that vanilla?
I honestly feel that he doesn't use all the tools, and there's a reason that we got him in the first place. He was available, which is another problem I see with both our offensive and defensive coordinators. Ken Norton, first time, he's a legitimate failure at his position. We can't have his defense because we don't have the players like they do in Seattle. They have fast, strong, young guys, and we have big, strong, slow guys. There's no way we can work that defense. So I think our defense, we've tried to hide, this is what happened last year too. We've tried to hide our weaknesses with scheme. And it doesn't work. It's not going to work the rest of the season because people are seeing through the paper tiger. And the basic thing here for me is work on the offense, be smarter on the offense. I think Musgrave does try to outsmart too much the other team instead of using what we have at our advantage. And if he sees that he can throw the ball all game, well, he doesn't do that. He runs and runs and runs, and he throws the ball short. He is a yak coach. I'll never like him because he's a yak coach. He's a yard after catch guy. He depends on the players to make that first down. Why not throw the ball past that first down marker so we know we're going to get one? We've been stopped third and short by throwing these stupid passes. It's just, I'm not the only fan who sees that frustration. I'm sure the rest of the Raider Nation feels the same way, that we are not using our players correctly on offense or defense.
Yeah, and I see something. You bring up a great point, Raider Greg. And we were talking earlier about the John Gruden years with Charlie Garner and Tyrone Wheatley. You bring up a really great point. We've got a yak type of offensive coordinator who's going to throw the ball short of the chains, hoping that 2 times out of 10 you're going to break it, maybe for a big gain. We've got a defensive coordinator that is very passive in a very vanilla scheme. So we've got an offensive coordinator that tries to be too cute and outthink things. We have a defensive coordinator that's trying to be too vanilla and keep everything in front of him and bend but don't break. At least when we had Chucky around, yes, we ran the West Coast offense. Yes, we moved down the field, but he was constantly attacking. He was constantly going for the throat. And when we had Bresnahan, it doesn't matter, any one of the coaches that we had, at least we weren't so passive. We played much more man. We challenged you along the defense. This to me is not Raider football. I understand they're trying to go back and redo the culture. But in terms of the two overall schemes, this to me is not Raider football. What are your thoughts on the comparisons between that team that we had, which a lot of people said wasn't Raider football, and this potato that we're putting on the field week in and week out?
Well, usually, if you have an offensive coordinator that's been with a team for more than 2 years, you're expecting to have growth. You're expecting to have growth in his scheme. You're expecting to have a little bit of change. You're expecting to have some surprise plays, something that's gonna really surprise the other team. I have seen nothing from Musgrave but the same thing over and over and over. And to me, let's face it, this last game said it all. At the end of the game, I was fully convinced that our offense is not going to be any better than what it is because of the coach. Because he cannot coach his way out of a paper bag. And the difference between the Gruden and the Del Rio coaching staff is light years.
Yeah, this offense, and I'm glad we're talking about this, because this offense is, even though, people talk a lot about, they're the fifth best offense in the league. We're scoring over 30 points a game. We're doing everything that you would think that would be like, hey, this is a great offense. But if you really look at it and you really analyze this offense, it's just not getting the job done. Too many short passes, and when we're throwing the deep ball, we're using the sideline too much. We're not using the middle of the field. It's too predictable. If Cooper's going deep and Crabtree's going deep, it's going to be a fade to the sideline, period. That's all we do. We're not giving them the opportunity in the deep routes to catch the ball and go deep.
Well, here's what I see as a difference. When Gruden was the coach, we had a rhythm to our offense. And we do not have a rhythm to our offense. We sputter, and the reason we sputter are these same stupid plays he continues to call on down and distance. He has not changed his down and distance calls since he started coaching here. I don't get that. You've got to be able to change things up, make sure the defense is on one leg and not sure where the ball's going to go, but every fan can say, this is what we're going to do. Oh, here we go. We're going to do that. Oh, we're going to do this. You can predict his offense. If I can do it, the defense can do it. And on the defensive side of the ball, we have absolutely no gap control. We are slow to react. And here's another thing I want to bring up, which has bugged me from the beginning of the season. Why? Can you tell me why we play better away and we don't play better at home? I don't get that. Carr seems like he's bad at home. I don't understand why he's so stressed at home. This seems like a different player.
Well, I think these 2 weeks coming up is gonna kind of show us a lot. If we do go out there and we have 2 solid games, because they're going to stay in Jacksonville, I think what it is when this team gets away, when this team is together, when they're building that camaraderie, away from all the other distractions, away from all the headlines, the clippings, people calling them up, congratulating them about this and that. They can focus a little more. So this is going to be a very telling series here, because they've got to travel out to play Jacksonville. They're going to stay there and then come in and play Tampa Bay. And once again, when you talk about the defense, we're talking about the offense because the offense is our only hope. People don't get that. People keep calling in. People keep emailing us. They keep texting us or commenting. Why are you guys picking on the offense? Because that is our only hope. That's it. That's our only hope. Right now, we have got to win by scoring 40 points a game. 10 points is not going to get it. And like you said, every single team knows if it's more than 6 or 7 yards, Bill Musgrave's going to call that draw. Everybody knows he's going to throw the wide receiver screen. It's like we've been saying, and I think you just summed it up very well. Other teams' game plan for the teams that are coming in, our offense seems to be the same no matter what team comes in. Kansas City knew that it was raining. Kansas City knew that they could take advantage of the fact that we don't communicate. Kansas City knew a few different things. They took advantage of it. They're probably not going to run that same game plan next week. They're probably going to change it up a little bit. Philosophically, they'll be the same, but the play calls themselves will be different. And like you said, they'll confuse you, mix and match, and do some different things. In my opinion, like you said, this is the exact same offense. No matter where we play, no matter the opponent, no matter what, if you don't have any cornerbacks, we're still going to try to run the draw on a 3rd and 23 or a 2nd and 23, something of that nature. And that's really what makes me scratch my head and say we have got to get better on offense. If we can move the ball, if we can go out there and take it, like you said, I think that's a beautiful analogy. You know, look, Bill, we're trying to build a table. We're going to need a screwdriver, some screws, a saw. You know what I mean? We need all the pieces. So bring them all out. You know, this is one ugly table when all you're using is a screwdriver.
Oh, that's so funny. It's so true. It's so true. It's so sad because we have to win with our offense. We have no choice but to win with our offense. And that can win a game for you, believe it or not. You can win a game by controlling the clock and controlling the score. What a surprise. Our defense doesn't have to be the best. It could be less than average as long as we control the clock and score early and make the other team play from behind. We can win most of those games. I don't get it.
Yeah, and I totally agree. Now, we spent a lot of time on the offense. What are your thoughts on Ken Norton and this defense, Greg? I mean, it's been historically bad for 6 weeks now.
Well, I think Ken Norton is a big rah-rah coach. I think he's got the confidence of his players because of his pedigree. But I do not think, like in many coaches in the league we've seen come and go, that he has the X's and O's. He understands each player's skill set, and he can make those things all come together. That takes a lot of brain power. I just don't think he has it. And I think Del Rio's going to have to take over the defense and maybe in the background start doing all the work to maybe bolster it a little bit. I mean, he can't do much at this time. But I think that Del Rio should take over the defense and then put a foot up our offensive coordinator's rear end and tell him if we don't start moving the ball more and more effectively, you're going to lose your job. That would be my statement to Musgrave.
Yeah, absolutely. I've said the same thing. I want to get your take on this. You know, I've been on record as saying go out, get a very sturdy sock and put some soap inside that sock and go in there and catch these guys in the shower and clean them up. You know what I mean? Clean them up and make sure that they understand. You know, we're in a life and death fight. Just because we're 4-2 doesn't mean anything. We're going to be 4-4, and eventually we'll be 8-8 if we keep playing like this. It's ridiculous. Now, Greg, once again, we want to thank you for coming on. We appreciate the time that you've taken today. Tell our viewers how they can watch you. You have a podcast that I've been watching for years and years and years, a podcast that I absolutely love, and that is the Raider Nation podcast. But do you have any other social media, any other ways that fans can follow you?
No, that's just my little niche. I have a RaiderNationPodcast.com. We used to do video. We've gone away from that because my partner in crime has moved away. So we're just doing the audio shows. And, you can find us on YouTube or on the internet. But I thank you guys for doing what you do because, the fans really need somewhere to go. And they really need somewhere to vent their frustration. Because trust me, if we keep playing the way we're playing, we're not even going to smell a playoff game.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Greg, once again, we really appreciate you coming on, and we admire you so much and how you really started this whole thing with the podcast. You've always been the godfather to this stuff, and we just really appreciate you coming on. We look forward to talking to you very shortly. So, ladies and gentlemen, Raider Greg from Raider Nation Podcast, go check it out. You can find it on iTunes. It's just a good listen, man. It's probably the best listen out there. So, Raider Greg, we appreciate it. Once again, guys, we want to thank you for tuning in. Remember, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all at The Will to Win, or email us any questions or concerns at thewtw@gmail.com. For the Raider Pirate, for Raider Greg, I'm the Oakland Knight. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Stay Raider strong.
And that's why they call me